Am I live?
We are...
Hello.
Go.
All right, we are live and ready to go. We are live streaming. Welcome back to day 2 of we are affectionately calling the Santas. We are here for the Santas, the SA Northern Territory and Tasmanian State Awards. I like hashtag Santas. Let's do this. Awesome. Welcome. We are here this morning to judge the travel category and sponsored by Camera Electronic over in Perth. I have an affection with Perth. I used to live in East Victoria Park, for those who may not know. Okay, so just let me run through who we've got here. So I'm sitting here next to Paul Atkins, who is my chair assistant this morning, not this afternoon. We're still in morning. And out the back, we have our print handlers. We cannot do this without our print handlers. That screen does not turn automatically, by the way. It is very hydraulic. We have Daniel, Jared, Asan, we have Janet and Beck. Thank you guys very much. Am I talking too loud?
No, you got the wrong list there.
I've got the wrong list.
That was yesterday's lot.
Gee, call yourself a panel chair assist?
No, we
Jeez.
got the new one.
All right, let's start again. We've got Daniel, Diane, Kane, and we have students here from Marden. We have Jordan, Ethan, and Cameron. So thank you so much to all of you. Excellent, fantastic. Now, I would love my judges here to just quickly introduce yourselves.
Pick up the mic.
Pick up the mic. Let's go from number 1.
Tony Hewitt from WA, and a mixture of genres.
Go, Paul.
Paul Holland for Tasmania. I do travel a lot. I was born into 4 passports, so I decided to put them to good use, and I shoot most genres.
Hi, Hilary Han from South Australia. I travel a lot too, and I shoot all sorts of things.
Is it working? I'm Peter Barnes. I'm an architectural photographer. I've won the travel category here a couple of times, I think. And I'm keen to see some good travel photographs this morning.
Awesome.
Matt Palmer from Tasmania. I'm saying that correctly now. I keep saying Queensland and Tasmania. But anyway, I also shoot a lot of documentary and travel.
Fantastic. Welcome. We also have Luke Simon and Sam Roberts on standby, ready to come in for us. Fantastic. So again, thanking Camera Electronic for sponsoring the travel category, and of course Epson, our sponsors of the State Awards nationally. So we thank Epson for their ongoing support. We appreciate you very much. We also appreciate Marden Senior College, which is where we are here today. Marden Road, Marden, which is in Marden. So Marden Senior College. Thank you to Malcolm and your team. You do great things for us every year. Fantastic. Okay, so let's get started. Print handlers, are you ready? That was the microphone. Oh, hang on, wait one. Hang on, no, don't start yet, because I've got to do some reading yet. I've got to wake up myself too. All right, travel category. So just to give you an overview, travel photography involves an area's landscape, people, cultures, customs, or history. It may express or reference the feeling of a time and place. You right, Tony? Yeah. Or simply portray a land or its people in its natural state. All destinations will be considered in the light of being travel photography, even if the location in the photograph is the same as where the print judging is being held. Entries should communicate some aspect of travel, but the judges will be asked to interpret this broadly. Entries into this category may be commissioned or self-commissioned. There should be no attempt to misrepresent reality by manipulating the image's content, context, or meaning. Composite images and photos with special effects, borders, and added backgrounds are not permitted. Post-production is limited to minor adjustments such as spotting dust and scratches, dodging and burning, and adjusting tonal and colour values. Elements or areas within the image cannot be removed or covered up, nor new elements added. Cropping the image and perspective correction are permitted. HDR, high dynamic range, stitched panoramas, and focus stacking using multiple exposures taken at the same time, location at the same okay, at the same time, at the same location, are permitted, provided these techniques comply with the category principles for authenticity. Okay, excellent. We're all happy to go. Audience is ready. Thank you for those who are here. Good to see you here. Print handlers ready? We're ready. Ball boys are ready? Let's have the first print.
Just 1 second, sorry.
Just, okay. Well, then you're not ready.
Let's hit the start judging. Can you see that, guys?
Slow down now.
Okay.
We're good.
All right, go for it. A fantastic start to our day. We are 83 on a silver award, and we have a challenge now. Yes, Tony, go right ahead.
Okay, so beautifully printed, great use of tones right through from black, right through to whites. Great graphics, awesome graphics. I love the leading lines in the bottom left, the bottom right, taking us through to the back, and then we get sort of presented with this beautiful archway, nice reflections. So we get this incredible sense of opulence within the inside of this building. What makes this building lift above silver for me is as you go through those arches, we get the sense of this modern city in the background. We get a sense of the sort of structures that have been built in this, on these riches. And then the key to this image, the key that puts it all together is the gentleman in the robes, obviously Arab, sitting on the left-hand side of the image, which gives us a real feeling of, now I know where I am. And now I know that I'm in a modern part of this type of culture, and I'm starting to be able to read the context that all that detail in the background gives to me. So beautifully printed, beautifully composed, beautifully constructed, great narrative, great sense of place, top level travel picture. I gave it 88.
Thank you. Peter, you are just actually under award range. Can I ask for a comment from you, please?
All of what Tony has said is true, I think, apart from one or two things I disagree with. So I'm thinking about this one. But to me, from a distance, it didn't grab me hugely, and I agree that it has been really well made. When I get up there, though, we've got a symmetrical building that hasn't been photographed symmetrically. The camera's not quite in the right place, unfortunately, and for that reason, I put it at 78.
Okay. Now, Paul, you're actually up there as well in the silver distinction range.
Oh, I'm right up there. Absolutely striking image. There's this really gorgeous amount of breathing space in this image. We're given a gentle sort of walk into the space using this beautiful geometry. And we're also given a beautiful depth beyond where we're looking at, and given a whole other context that goes further and deeper and beyond what we're looking at, which gives it an even broader context. But the narrative of this figure is so striking, and even the emotive content. He's sitting there like with his head bowed, his hands over, and I'm sort of reading through, you know, is he struggling with something? Is there an element of the cultural dichotomy of this modernism versus, you know, maybe his traditions, or I can read a lot of ways into it, and so it's communicating me both through geometry, design, through colour, through context, in so many different ways, and I can go in a lot of different directions, and I'm sitting here wondering if I should go higher, to be honest.
Hilary, you'd like to offer comment?
Thanks, Louise. I found this very striking when it turned around. I agree with everything that Tony and Paul have said. My only caveat, and I underscored it, but the reason was I just found it was missing black in it. It felt a little bit dull. And because it felt a little bit dull, the little man in the corner, I felt just was lost. I'd have liked him to be a little bit more present in the image. They were very small issues, and I'll definitely come up.
Tony, back to you for your right of reply.
Yeah, I thought about the contrast issue, but I felt that if we'd gone any heavier, that we wouldn't be invited outside. And I think there's a nice balance between the interior and the exterior. Paul said a lot of the things I would have summed up with, so I thank Paul for that. Positioning, Peter, I think I looked at whether they could go left or right, and each time I looked at one or the other, it would bring other problems in. If you're looking through those archways, those buildings in the background, it's almost, I had to have a double look because there's almost been like a flip of the background because the way they've lined those elements up, those two big buildings next to the inside of the two outside arches, the two shorter buildings, everything's kind of nicely balanced to give us a real centralised viewpoint. And I don't think they could have got it any tighter without manipulating the image, which is not really allowed to that extent. So that's why I didn't go gold, but I definitely believe that this image is worth a silver distinction. So I'd like you to consider that.
Thank you very much. Tony, you will hold your score on 88. Could the other judges please rescore? What a cracking start to the day. 86, silver with distinction. Congratulations to the photographer and judges. Great comment. What a start to the day. Wow, what a day we're going to have. Awesome. And next print, please. And just to remind everyone, if you are here in Adelaide... Oh, okay. Thank you. Okay. Luke, can you hop in for me? Thanks. Yeah, that's right. So just going back to where I was before, if you are here in Adelaide and you're wanting to come down, it is free to come and watch the judging. We would love to have a good audience here. We actually have some good numbers. Can I get a yay from the audience? Oh my gosh, listen to that. Oh my gosh, we just rock here in Adelaide. We really do. And the print is average 85 with majority 84. We have a challenge from Tony Hewitt. Go ahead, Tony.
Yeah, almost uncomfortable to have to do this twice in a row at the beginning of the day. There's no agenda here. Look, I'm going to come out up front and say that if this had been printed had a slightly better quality in the file itself, I would have gone smash bang into the middle of gold. No question. Compositionally, it is brilliant. It is brilliant. What a great way to describe travel from a perspective that very, very few people ever see. We've all sat in the airport terminal, looked out at the planes, but what a cracking perspective. The use of a wing across the top of the image to hold the top of the image down, the narrative of the modern type of airport, that structure, that architecture we see in the background. It's not an architectural shot. I don't need it to be perfect that way. I see the indications of a sponsor, as in the bank name on the walk bridge. I see the gate number, which tells me it's about gates. I see an airline, Emirates, which tells me about airlines. I see people to give me scale, which is in the bottom left. I see small detail. And right in the middle is the smack bang message that none of this is possible without the invention of the jet engine. And there it is in front of us. A cracking combination of content that's done in a way that I have never seen before. And it reeks of travel. This is a travel photograph. This is what travel is about. This is a perspective we've never seen before, and for me, I had to go as close to gold as possible. I'm still not even sure I shouldn't have gone to gold, but that's the only reason that I didn't, was what I said. So for me, it's an 89 at least.
Matt, you are in the silver range. Are you happy to give a comment? That'd be great.
Yeah, I guess what held me back was just the general quality that Tony touched on, but he's given me a bit to think about in terms of narrative, so I'm listening to all comments.
Fantastic. Paul, yep, you are sitting in silver distinction.
Yeah, I'm in silver distinction on the lower end. I'm creeping higher. I really intrigued by the stunning use of geometry to direct us around the frame. As Tony alluded to, we're held in, but we're walked beautifully around for these gorgeous curves, and we have these little points of interest down the bottom to hold us and give context and add story. And it's quite a striking and bold composition, really, which I have to award the author for. I'm coming up higher.
Tony, you've got your right of reply.
Yeah, look, I think you've got my message pretty clear. I'm going to say a comment at the end, if I may, for the author or the photographer. But to me, this is a brilliant composition. It really is. I wish I could see like this. It just is fantastic.
Wow, fantastic. So, Tony, you're holding your score on 89. Could the others please rescore? We are shooting on all cylinders. 88, silver with distinction. Congratulations. Yes, Tony, go ahead.
Just a comment for the author. My suspicion, and I could be wrong, is it could have been shot on a phone. And if it had been shot on a... If I'm wrong, I'm wrong. That's the perspective I get, that it's the file reminds me of what I've got out of a phone often. If you could get this sort of image with this sort of eye shot with a good camera, you should be getting a lot of business as a travel photographer.
Fantastic. Great comments. Awesome. Next print, please. And for everyone who is in Adelaide, we've got the awards dinner coming up on Wednesday evening at Pavilion on the Park. And tickets are still available. So please do hop onto the AIPP website, go to the events tab and find the dinner and book your ticket. Do not miss out. Do it. And everything is included, by the way, too. And free parking. This print has scored a 78, very consistent across the board. Hilary, could I ask for a comment on the print, please?
Yes, a couple of things. I mean, they're cute kids, and it's a lovely feeling you get from both the kids. I don't get a sense of place with it, which would add to the story. And for me, the kid in the background, they're just like they're overlapping, a bit of separation. Just a couple of things.
Thank you for that. Just a quick judge change. Peter Barnes, can I get you to hop in for Matt Palmer, please? And next print, please. And we do have an 80 and a silver award. Congratulations. Now, Luke, could I ask for a comment on this print?
I thoroughly enjoyed the sense of scale in this image. I probably just would love to see a little less of the foreground, to be honest, just to sort of bring that together a bit more.
Fantastic. So always looking for comment from our from each print to help the photographer perhaps how they can look at it differently, or perhaps next time you might be shooting that if you're lucky enough to be there again. Fantastic. And next print, please. Yep. Sam, can I get you to hop in on number 2, please? So just a quick judge change there for those who are wondering what's going on. So sometimes a judge may decide that perhaps they're either not happy to judge it, or they might be familiar with either someone in the photograph, or they might be familiar with the photographer. This print scores 84 and is a silver award. Congratulations to the photographer. Actually, Tony, can I ask for a comment on this print, please?
Yeah, absolutely. I love the sense of culture, the sense of moment, and the mystique that comes from that gentleman at the top of the stairs with his little eyes looking at us.
Thank you, that's great. And we will have the next print, please. So one thing that sometimes people...
Are you back in, Paul?
If you have me.
Oh,
Okay.
I just jumped out for that phone, but if you want me to just stay out.
Well, just we'll change the next one.
yeah. Keen people. So just out of interest's sake, so mixed in with all the prints are also the student and emerging member entries. So you never know what you're looking at, whether it's an accredited photographer or an emerging or a student. They're all mixed in the same bundle.
Get your shoes on. Close.
And this print scores a 79. Now, can I get a comment from... Yeah, Tony can make a comment, yes?
I gave this 75. I think there's an inconsistency in the tones on this that don't work, because the content's leading us through, but the lighting and the darkness on the right is blocking us. So they're working against each other. Try to get consistency with your content and composition and the tonal range in your picture.
Thank you for that, Tony. Can I just get a quick judge change? Luke, if you can hop off. Paul, come on back in. And can I get the next print, please? And this print has scored a 78, very consistent scoring across the board. Sam, could I ask for a comment on this one, please?
Just with the print, I just think there should be more depth in the blacks in that shot.
Okay, thank you for that. Hopefully that will help. And can I have the next print, please? And with our student and emerging members, so we do have sponsors for each of those award categories. Here in Adelaide, CCP, the Centre for Creative Photography, is sponsor of the Emerging Photographer of the Year. Gavin Blake and his team down there, always great friends of the AIPP. And Kodak, sponsors of the Student, not Professional Photographer of the Year, Student Photographer of the Year. I need more coffee. I don't drink coffee. Maybe I should. We love our supporters and sponsors, don't we all? Yes. We wouldn't be here without them. And this print has scored an 81 and is a silver award. Then we do have a challenge from Hillary, which we will accept. Thank you.
Thanks, Louise. I scored this 87 firmly in silver distinction. I thought as a travel photo, this the feeling I got out of this misty, I wasn't worried about a lack of blacks. It just felt so, the emotion out of it, the mistiness and the different poses by these trekkers who are climbing somewhere. You know, they've got different things. One's drinking. You're just looking at different aspects of people trekking, and I just thought it could be, admittedly, it could be perhaps anywhere in the world, but as a travel photo, it just took me straight to travelling, and I felt an instant emotional response to it, which I think is part of a successful image. I might have scored it a bit higher if those two people, third from the left, were separated a bit more, but for me it was all about the feeling I got from this image, and as a travel photo just taking me somewhere straight away, and I just thought it deserved more than just a silver.
All right. Thank you for that. Paul, you're sitting on 77. Can you offer some input, please?
Yeah, I enjoyed the principle and what I felt was a significant narrative to explore. I particularly relate to the figure on the right, having been a guide myself for many, many years, you know, holding space at the back and leading up for the rear, and you know, getting used to the different characterizations of who's in front of you and how to manage the group. I just struggled a little bit, I guess, with the sort of, I wasn't grabbed by the washed out kind of treatment, and emotionally and some of the separation of the figures wasn't quite there, and I was looking for a bit more emotive quality to it, but I'm very happy to be danced up.
Okay, Sam, you're in a solid silver range there.
I love the image, and I like the treatment. It makes me feel, it gives a visceral feel for the climactic conditions that they were experiencing on the day, and I think that every figure there has their own personality. You've got some fit people, you've got some people that, you know, you've got the broad gamut, and I think it, you know, I want to be there. I'm feeling the cold, I'm feeling the damp.
Fantastic. Hillary, your right of reply?
Yes, I think sometimes I know I get wound up in technical things and perfection and all these other things, but when I get an emotional response to an image, it becomes one of the important things. I mean, I didn't feel that technically it let itself down. That misty type of feeling is all part of that, what the photographer is trying to portray and what those people are enduring, and I just felt that they'd really captured it perfectly for what they were trying to show us. And I would like everyone to come up to silver distinction. Thank you.
Beautiful. So, Hillary, you hold your score on 87. The other judges, please rescore. We are an average of 84, but 85 by majority, we are silver distinction. Ah, you got to love days like these. Thank you very much, judges. And next print, please. And congratulations to the photographer. And, oh, can I get a quick swap? Peter, if you can pop out for Matt, please. Yeah. So we are affectionately calling our judges our Santa's helpers.
That's just you, Tony.
That came from Tony, by the way.
The high-vis helper, yeah.
And we have the high-vis helpers. By the way, we also need to mention our volunteer coordinator helpers, Kate Ellis, Diana Fernie. You guys are awesome. And not to mention our state council, the SA State Council. Now, where are we? We've got Deb Saunders in the room. We have Karen Lynch in the room. Who else have we got in the room? Who's on council? That's it. And then, of course, we have Simone Henkel. Simone's not here yet. We have Leanne Barnes, who's not with us today, unfortunately. No, I was about to say Leanne Barnes. How did I get Leanne Barnes? It's actually Leanne King. Where did I get Leanne Barnes from? And we have an average of 80, but a majority 79 for this print. Now, I would love to get a comment from Matt, please.
Yeah, I thought it was high professional standard. To improve it, perhaps the artist could shoot, or the photographer could shoot a little bit wider, and that way they're not distorting the figures down the bottom quite so much. And also just waiting for that separation in the figures as they're moving up the staircase.
Excellent. So I just want to explain the average, or the majority rule rather, so where this print has scored an average of 80, but the majority of the scores were within the 70, the high 70s range, which is why it has scored a 79. And we will have the next print, please. And of course, we also have on council Victoria Berwick Mary. And just going back, it is Leanne King, not Leanne Barnes. Now, of course, this awards is sponsored by Epson. Now, if there is anyone here who is thinking, I really want to print my own stuff, how do I do that? Well, you can talk to Bruce. Now, Bruce is right here in our room today. Good morning, Bruce. Mr. Epson himself. I'm not even going to go there. This print scores an 80 and is a silver award. Congratulations to the photographer. I would love to get a comment. Now, Paul, you're actually in that silver range?
Yeah, if you can't see from the back of the room, there's this beautiful curling of the tongue around the mouth, and there's actually this little circular piece of hair that almost looks like where the eye is meant to be, that gives this characterization to the creature. And there's a tiny little extra one on the right hand side just to add a little bit of context to the community of animals that are there. I enjoy the beautiful depth to the print. Part of me feels like maybe I wanted to move around a little bit to the left because it's just a little bit squashed out to the left hand side perhaps, but that's maybe a bit of a subjective comment. There's quite a lovely, enjoyable range of colour palette there and it really brings you strikingly forward, but there's enough detail to bring you back in the print to enjoy the context.
Fantastic comment. Thank you for that. And next print, please. And this print has scored a 73. Tony, can I get a comment for the photographer, please?
Yeah, sure. Look, I gave it a 68, so I'm quite happy to say that. I've placed it just below professional standard. There's some technical issues around the quality of the file, which could be to do with camera availability or whatever they're using. I think there's things when we look at a simple picture like this where we have to be aware of what's dominating. There's a black spot in the middle of the cliffs. The perspective we're given, there's a bush in front of this gentleman's body. There's his hand coming out of the rock and gripping his leg. So all of these little things are very confusing and distorting, and they don't actually present a consistent and harmonious narrative. So there's things to be done. There's some good components to this, but I think there's a bit of work. If someone's in the room and it's their picture, happy to talk further about it if they want to come and talk to me later.
Oh, fantastic. That's a great offer. Thanks for that. And we will have the next print, please. We are judging the travel category, sponsored by Camera Electronic, all the way over there in Perth. Really not that far away. Hop on a plane, you're there in a couple of hours.
Go back in time, don't you?
Hey?
Go back in time.
Ah, see. Wow, consistent scoring from our judges. 82, silver award. Congratulations to the photographer. Pretty much everyone on 82 and one on 83. And I would love to get a comment, Matt, if you can offer that for us. Thank you.
Yeah, the photographer's done really well. There's so many beautiful lines running through the photograph. In terms of improvement, I feel like there's a bit of a hot spot just on the lady's dress, and that could be more of an illusional thing, but under these lights, that's how it appears, so that can be a little bit distracting.
Fantastic, great comment. Well done, judges. And next print, please. So I guess with the travel category, when you are travel and wanting to photograph, you of course do need a camera. And I would say that if you're in Perth, pop into Stirling Street in the city, go to see Camera Electronic, and I'm sure they would be more than willing and happy to help you out. And then pop into the Swan Brewery, I guess. Go and see Mr. Bond. Is he still there? No, he's not anymore, is he? He did, didn't he? I think he did. I don't think Prita Moore is there anymore either. I think they knocked that down, didn't they? This print scores 84 and is a solid silver award. Congratulations to the photographer. That's fantastic. Hilary, can I ask for comment? You are right on that 84.
Yeah, this is really interesting. The diversity amongst those people waiting on a train line, maybe the audience can't see it. There's all sorts of different cultures there, and I think it's been beautifully captured. For improvement, I'm not really sure I can offer much to lift it for me into silver distinction, but it's a really worthwhile image. I really enjoyed it.
Thank you for that, and congratulations to the photographer. And next print, please. Well done, judges. 81, we are a silver award. Now, Matt, you're just under the award range. Can you offer some comment for the photographer?
For me, I was looking just for a little bit more of the photographer interpreting the scene. So I feel like it's just a documentation of what was in front of them, but they haven't put in the additional composition or, and, you know, they could have positioned themselves a little bit better in terms of capturing some more faces and things like that. But the lighting coming through the trees is beautiful, and they've done well to add that headroom to allow that light to shine down on the group.
Fantastic. Thank you for that, and congratulations. And next print, please. And this print scores 77, very consistent judging. Tony, can I get a comment, please?
Yeah, I felt that this image could have used a little bit more breathing space to give us some context of where we are. It's a great shot of a Icelandic horse or something in North America or something. And also the drop-off, the depth of field. I would have liked a little more depth of field just to give us a little bit more of the rest of the horse. So a bit more context would have helped this image really well because it's a great shot of the horse.
That's great. Matt, did you want to add? Yep. No? Fantastic. Oh, see, that's why you guys are here. Now, I can just get a judge change. If I can get Hillary, if you can hop out for me. Luke, I can get you to pop back in, and we will have next print, please. And this print scores a 79. Can I get a comment, please, from Sam?
I think this represents high professional practice.
Yeah, Paul, thanks.
I just feel like it's just lacking a more boldly decisive moment in there that adds a really significant point of interest. There's a lot of extra room given around the image, but if you look through the windows and you look for something extra or something to add a bit more narrative, it's not quite there, apart from just the structure of the building itself. So maybe just a little bit longer, sort of waiting for a few more moments, look through some more of your frames, or maybe even come in tighter on some more points of interest around the characters, perhaps.
Thank you for that. I appreciate that. Can I get, before we go to the next print, if I can get a judge change. Matt, if I can get you to hop off. Peter Barnes, can I get you to hop in for me, please? And I'll have next print, please. And this print has scored a 78. Tony, can I get a comment from you, please?
Sure. Look, well seen. The contradiction between the modern architecture building and the religious buildings, but the image is a little bit flat. There's detail lacking in that building in the middle as well, and there's sort of the front building's a little bit too bright for me. So I think just controlling tones and things like that would have been good, but it's good composition.
Great. Thank you very much for that. And Peter? Yeah, grab your microphone.
And watch what's happening in the foreground as well, please.
What did you say?
Oh, sorry. I rushed that. I'm not sure that the little bit on the right foreground is adding anything to the photograph. If that could have been put out of the frame somehow, I think that would have improved it.
Thank you. Much appreciated. And we will have the next print, please. And we are here judging the travel category. How's everyone going in the audience? We're all still there? Yay, thumbs up. Awesome. Thank you for being here to everyone. It was only 4 degrees when I left home this morning. That's because I live in the hills. I know, right? It was chilly. The travel category sponsored by Camera Electronic over in Perth. We thank Camera Electronic for their support. This print has scored a 79. And yes, Peter, you can challenge. Yes, go right ahead.
I think this is a print that definitely needs to be in the silver range. It's been beautifully seen, beautifully composed. The people are beautiful. The colours are just wonderful. I love the way the colours of the clothes are the only things that are not grey and brown in the whole photograph. I love how that works with the grey and the brown in the background. The expressions on the faces of the people have been captured exceptionally well. I think it's a lovely photograph, and I think it well deserves a silver.
Now, Paul, you're actually on the other end of the scale. You're on 77, if you can offer.
Yeah, I don't have too much to say. I didn't know if it needed quite as much breathing room. I felt the dynamism between the characters on the left was particularly significant. I quite enjoy the separation of the cultural elements and the dress codes and the footwear in particular. I found quite intriguing. The colour is handled really well, but I'm listening.
Tony, go ahead.
Yeah, I feel this is a picture that sits quite comfortably at the top end of professional practice, and I know we can push professional practice into silver, but I agree with what you said, Paul. I like it for the reasons that you do, Peter, but I feel like it's a little static as a photograph. I think it's just lacking something. I don't know what it is, and that's partly the reason we look for something to award. So for me, it's a high standard professional practice, but I'm not sure that it brings much more.
Peter, your right of reply.
Paul, I like the amount of space around the figures. I think that makes it a travel photograph for me. It explains where they are much more clearly and more emphatically. It is static, but I think that adds to the beauty. There's a stillness in this which I really appreciate. Please make it a silver.
That's fantastic. Peter, you will hold your score on 84. Other judges, please rescore. Congratulations. We are at 80. It is a silver award. Well done to the judges. Congratulations to the photographer. Fantastic. And can we have the next print, please? This print scores a 76. Are we all happy with that score? So what I know, Sam, you are wanting to challenge. You certainly can.
I think it's just a clever insight into something that you might overlook when you're travelling, looking through the elevator doors and looking at the infrastructure as a part of the place where you're at. The elevator doors are about to close. They're going somewhere. I'm assuming that they've gotten into the elevator, but they've gone. This is a little snippet of something of a place which they've travelled to. It's a familiar scene that would be in every major city, but it's just that slight nuance about the subtleties of that place, of where it is. And I like the interesting composition of what's happening between the elevator doors as they're closing.
So we've got Luke, you're on 75, you're under there. Can you offer some comment, please?
Yeah, I guess I sort of wanted to just get a little bit more of a sense of place and the narrative behind it. I was wondering whether it was maybe the doors of a train, but I just couldn't see any detail in those side areas to sort of give me enough of that story. So I am listening, but yeah, I kind of just placed it in that solid professional range for that reason.
That's great. Tony, go ahead.
Yeah, look, I echo Luke's comments and would just add that it's probably that lack of definitive communication that would hold me under silver, because the image is a little flat and it's just lacking some detail that might give us a little bit more context as to what it is about this that we're supposed to be noticing. So for me, it's just that lack of detail in the communication.
Okay, Sam, you do have your right of reply.
I just like the quirky nature of it. It's probably something that a lot of people just wouldn't even bother photographing. I think they've been lucky enough to have some nice geometry within the scene between the doors, and it's just a little cameo of something that we might often overlook, but nonetheless does give a sense of the difference and the geometry of what's happening between those doors.
Okay, so Sam, you will hold your score on 82. If the other judges can please rescore. And the print has come up to a 78. So we are still under the award range, but great comments, and hopefully that will help the photographer, which is fantastic. And can we have the next print, please? Turn myself on. This print scores a 78. Now, could I get a comment? So, Luke, you are sitting on that 78 range there? No? Tony? Yes, go ahead. Thank you.
Yeah. Look, I applaud the photographer for a different perspective. I find the image to be, it's quite complicated, so we have to go looking for how things connect. The highlight at the top is a little distracting, and the bush that sort of, or the plant from this perspective dominates the image. And then as you do look into the detail where those leaves take you, a lot of the highlights are lacking detail. And I just feel like there's a great idea here. I applaud the photographer, but I would continue to work on it because it's not quite come together to the level that would give it an award.
Yeah, go ahead. Thanks, Paul. Did you want to give a comment? Oh, thumbs up. Okay, awesome. So, Tony, I'm going to give you a break. Matt, if you can come back in, please. And we will have the next print, please. And of course, these awards wouldn't be happening without all the people working behind the scenes. Starting with our State Council here in South Australia. And this print scores a 77, actually very consistent judging across the board. Could I get a comment from Paul? Thank you.
Just a bit of a subjective comment. I would feel like if I was down a bit lower and to the left and I got a bit of separation with the dancing character from the more static kind of women that are creating the music, it would have maybe created a bit more energy and a bit more room to move around and a bit more engagement more directly with the subjects. But beautiful colour and good lighting, and it's obviously a subject worth exploring well.
That's fantastic comment, something for the photographer to think about maybe next time. And we will have the next print, please. Our South Australian Council have been working for many months building up to these awards. All the little details that go on behind the scenes, booking of the dinners, organising the volunteers, transport, venue. What else? Setting up backgrounds and photo booths, fun things. That which reminds me, come to the dinner. You need to be there. There are still tickets available, so please pop onto the AIPP website. This print has scored a 79. So we are just under the award range there. Now, what have we got? Matt, if I can get a comment from you, please. You're on 77.
Yeah, without knowing the difficulty of the situation that was being dealt with, I feel like there is a great photograph to be found in here. But, you know, perhaps assuming a little bit in terms of access, I feel like it's around to the left where you can frame the people a little bit tighter against the volcano. And that way you can still get the green trees and the little peak of the village there. But at the moment, there's like a little bit of space that's just not providing for the photograph.
Fantastic. Yeah, Paul, go ahead.
If you don't mind a bit of conversation, if you go around to the left, you'll lose the strength of the background and the sort of looming menace of this, potential volcanic rush or whatever it is. I pulled into award range purely because I felt like my life is a little bit separated from a lot of the big sort of natural disaster events that quite often seem to happen in the more third world countries and other places, and I'm quite arrested by both the vulnerability and the majesty and the potential danger sort of worked into this photograph and included in all the elements. So I agree with Matt, though, it could be tighter compositionally and a little bit more compact maybe to pull us in more directly where it wants to go, but enough for me to pull me in.
Fantastic. Great comments. Thank you, judges. Really appreciate it. And we will have the next print, please. And of course, also working behind the scenes here at the awards, we have the wonderful Sue Lewis, who's been working with our awards team for many years now. She's part of the furniture. And we also have over from WA, Steve Wise, who has come across as, do I want to say, Sue's offsider, right hand. But he's a great person anyway. And he's also a member of the AIPP National Board. So thank you to both Steve and Sue. Always appreciated. And this print has scored a 74. It'd be great to get some insight for the photographer. Paul, go ahead. Thank you.
I'm not sure. This appears to be sort of some issues with the file in terms of the resolve of it. Secondly, I feel like the colour management could have used a little bit of work in terms of the casting that's through the whites and the management of the highlights on the top and the maybe overly accentuated blues, which you are allowed to move a little bit. I enjoy the geometry and the subject matter, but I wonder if it might have a little bit more context if there was people involved or interactivity with there as well. So maybe sitting there for longer or spending a bit more time in terms of how. But obviously quite an interesting intriguing moment to choose with that sort of streaming light.
Yeah, great comments. Thank you very much. And we will have the next print, please. And the other person we've had helping us here the last couple of days with all our technical issues is Bruce Moyle, who's come over from Tasmania. So we appreciate all the help everyone's setting up, and Paul Atkins setting up our live streaming. Thank you, Paul. Also sitting here next to me and assisting me. On Facebook. Don't say that. No, but thank you for your technical expertise, Paul. What awesome, consistent judging. 83 Silver Award. Absolutely brilliant result. Congratulations to the photographer. And I will go Peter, yes, and then Sam. Go ahead.
the expression on this animal's face is wonderful. If you go and have a look at this print when it gets put up, folks, and have a look at that dog's face. It's just wonderful. I would have loved to have scored this a fair bit higher, but my problem was that whatever it is to the right of the dog, I think it's another dog lying down, but after looking at it for some time, I'm still not sure, and I think that has held me back from putting it up higher.
I love the personality that's been captured in this, and contrary to Peter, I love the fact that the dog to the camera right of the hero dog is buried its head in the snow. Obviously, they're having a bit of a break. They're going for a reasonably long stroll, but I love the proudness and that character of that central figure. A fantastic image connection with that animal. Bang.
Wonderful feedback. That's fantastic. So I'm just going to have a quick judge change. Sam, if you hop out. Hillary, if I can get you to hop back in, please. And we will have the next print, please. And I've just seen Gavin Blake walking into the room. Hello, Gavin. So Gavin runs the Centre for Creative Photography and also sponsoring the Emerging Photographer of the Year. So we always thank Gavin for his support for the AIPP. And thank you for coming along today. This print scores a 79. Actually, very consistent scoring, I must say, across the board. Yes, Matt, did you want to offer some comment? Go ahead, please.
Yeah, I think probably the one thing that might have prevented it going just a couple points higher is I felt like it needed a bit more of a supporting cast. So it just needs somebody in one of those windows to play off the man in the business suit. But it's very well taken, very graphical, and could be quite a good commercial photo as well.
Fantastic. Thank you for that. And we will have the next print, please. So for members in South Australia, now is the time to vote for your new council. So South Australia is going, has gone, will be going to election. It is. It's happening now. So you would have received an email from our wonderful Melinda Comerford to go in and vote for your council members. So do go in. And our candidates are, watching the scores coming through, we have Diana Fernie. And I'll read the rest in a minute. We are an average of 80, but majority is 79. So we are just under with the majority score. And Matt, yeah, go ahead, please.
Yeah, very close to an awards standard, and it's really well seen. I feel like the photographer could have benefited from just spending a little bit more time in that location and finding the perfect set of people walking past that would complement. And that isn't to say going the same way as the ostrich. It's good that they're going the other way. But just some of the cast in the photograph aren't kind of pulling their weight, so to speak.
Paul, did you want to offer a comment? Okay, fantastic. And we will have the next print, please.
Could you go and see where our spare judges are?
So also going back to council election, we have Gavin Blake from CCP. We have Bender Andemar. We have G. Greenslade, Graham Taylor. Graham's in the room here with us today. We have Kate Pardy, Mark Zed, and Matt Makinson. So we have a fantastic mix of, and this print scores a 79. Could I get a comment from here? Yep, go ahead. Paul, yes.
Well, actually, this is more of a, not what to improve, but just applauding the author. I think it's very bold composition. I think in the travel category, a bridge is one of the main vehicles that we move from place to place, so it's very appropriate sort of context. It has a strength in various parts of the image. Like I feel like the bottom left image can always stand alone and be a strong image in and of itself. It's a heaviness and a boldness to the right, but if you look at some of the stories behind the creation of some of these bridges, and there's almost, a lot of people have died actually building bridges like this, so there's almost a sense of heaviness and menace that I can read into from my historical knowledge of the building of these structures that allow us to travel. So it moves around, and the rail will travel quite a lot for me, and it's a bold composition. Well done.
Thanks for that comment. That's great to hear. And we will have the next print, please. So judges are reminded that there is a button on your keypad, the known button. So if judges do know the photographer, then they do have the option. They can still score. They must just let us know that they do know the originator. So get on board, South Australia. Vote for your new council. And this print scores a 76. Hilary, can I get comment from you, please?
Yes, I found the lighting in this was so harsh that it really spoilt some of the story that was in there. And the person in the foreground, that is where your eye goes first, you can't really see her face. There's nothing about her here, I can't remember, that makes you want to investigate more in the image. It's perhaps it's just there's some storytelling in there, but it just needs a little bit more technique on the shooting side of it.
Luke, yeah, go ahead.
Just quickly also on the, it's almost got a bit of a reverse vignette going on from the sides. It's really light on the sides and really dark through the middle, so maybe just readdressing that if they're thinking of taking this to APA.
Fantastic, all good feedback. And can I get a quick judge swap, please? Paul, if I can get you to hop out. And Tony, can I get you to come in, please? And we will have the next print, please. And this print scores a 76. And yes, you can challenge Matt, by all means do. Matt, you're on 84.
All right, I think it's good to have a little bit of a chat about this one. I think the tonality is beautiful, the richness of the blues and that ocean. And one thing that I would commend as a photographer is actually captured the moment, and they've captured that moment well. And there's these two other people in the surf that really counterbalance that moment into a really nice composition. So you've got this kind of triangle running through the photograph. In terms of what kind of held me back was probably the heaviness of this cloud, and perhaps it does tell a little bit of a story, but it might not lend itself as strongly to this photograph. But I actually think it's quite strong, and I'm hoping that the other judges will consider coming up to silver and or telling me why it's not a silver.
Okay, Luke, you're sitting on 75. Can I get some input, please?
Yeah, lovely decisive moment captured. I really struggled with the post-processing of this. It's really quite heavy, which kept it for me in that professional range. And I suppose I was just looking for a little bit more of a story, or a bit more detail in there to sort of give me a bit more.
Okay, Tony, can I get a comment from you, please?
Yeah, I probably echo Luke's comments. I find the guy in the foreground, just the heaviness of him, and under his arm, the shadow there looks almost like it's been darkened too much or hasn't been treated right. I'm hearing what you say, Matt, because I do enjoy the tones, but I agree also with Luke that the way it's been treated is a little bit too heavy and muddy, and I don't think that suits it. So I'm on 73. I'll probably come up a few points, but I don't know if I'd get into silver.
Okay, Matt, you do have your right of reply.
Okay, well, I think we're in the travel category, and it's about humans in different places, whether that's here or elsewhere. And we have a very human photograph. It's captured a moment, and it's captured it decisively. And so many times you see a travel photograph, and it's set up for the moment, but the moment's not there. And this photograph has that moment, and it's been captured beautifully. In terms of what you're saying about the tones, I do agree with you that there is a bit of muddiness there, and that stopped me from going higher. However, the boy in the front, he could just have very, very dark skin, and it could have been something that was difficult to deal with because of that boy being out of focus in the foreground. And sometimes in that situation, you just can't get that kind of skin to be as perfect as you'd like to in terms of having an award standard just with that child. But I think in terms of the combination of its elements, the composition, the tone, I think it's at least worth a low silver. So do consider. Thanks.
Okay, Matt, you will hold your score on 84. The other judges, please rescore. And we have come up a couple of points to 78, but certainly fantastic comments for the photographer. So hopefully that will help in moving that forward. And I will have the next print, please. And I can see in the room here we have Malcolm has brought in a few of his students. So Malcolm from Marden Senior College, who are hosting us for these awards, and great to see the photography students coming in. Welcome to all of you. So just thought I'd explain to you the whole challenge system. So if a judge has scored 5 points or more from the average, then that judge can challenge the print to bring that score up. So just in case you were wondering how the challenge system actually works. So it's great to have that ability. So if a judge really believes in a print that it should be scored higher, then they can challenge, but that must be 5 points or more out of the average, overall average. And this print scores a 77. And can I get a comment on behalf of the photographer? Peter, can you offer comment, please?
I like the way this photograph makes you look at it, makes you work out what's going on and why. And in that sense, I think it's really well seen and quite well made. Apart from that, there was nothing that leapt it into silver for me. And what I had difficulty with was the softness and the muddiness on the right-hand edge.
Fantastic. Thank you for that. Always very helpful. And we will have the next print, please. And we are judging the travel category, sponsored by Camera Electronic over in Perth. Fantastic, judges. 82, we are a silver award. Very consistent scoring across. Tony, did you want to offer comment, please? Thank you.
Yeah, and kind of wish I'd given a bit more. Look, I think it's a great use of another world to tell us about another world in a very simple way. Good use of fisheye or wide angle distortion to sort of give a feeling of water. I love the water droplet feel, and I love that bit of light that's curling around underneath the figure, and then that bit of light that's the top end of that curve holding us inside and holding the figure in the middle of that image, and then everything's coming from below, the mistiness in amongst all the reeds, giving us a sense of another world below the mysteries of the deep, blah, blah, blah. So well done.
Fantastic, and definitely a great silver award. So now, can I get a quick judge change? So Luke, I'm going to get you to hop off, and if I can get Paul, if you're ready to hop back on for me. And we'll have next print, please. And this print scores a 76. And if I can get comment from Matt, that'd be great. Thank you.
Yeah, when I first saw this turn around, I really wanted to like it. There's some strong leading lines, and I actually quite like the tonality of the photograph. But the lines are all leading me to somewhere where there's nothing to look at. So it's just waiting for that human element or something to come into that space and then capture that moment.
Thank you for that. And if I can have the next print, please. This print scores an 81 and is a silver award. And we have got a challenge from Hilary Han. You absolutely can. Go ahead, Hilary.
Cool. I scored this 86. I thought it's a silver distinction. I believe the photographers really used the architectural possibilities of this building, but added to it assuming that they've waited for the right light to get these light shadows sort of mirroring but reflecting the stairs going up, and they've waited for a person that's just like the whole elements came together, and I thought it showed a lot more vision than just good craft, and I think it deserves to go into silver distinction.
Paul, you're sitting just under a silver range there.
Yeah, I enjoyed the sense of deliberateness about both the composition and the timing and the content. What I felt, and I enjoyed the staccation of shape and geometry, both with the shape of even the hanging lights above, which have that diagonal. But the largest part of the image is this bottom right sort of space, which to me isn't necessarily a great point of interest. And the highlights are so strong and quite staggered that they don't necessarily lead me anywhere apart from that enjoyable mirroring. So I'm sitting on the fence, I think, on whether it's an award range for me.
Okay. So, Matt, you're actually in silver range?
Yeah, I thought it was worth a low silver. It's a deliberate composition. The photographer has waited for this moment to come. But for the same reason Paul said, I'm not all that keen to move up higher. I think 81 is a just reward for what the photographer's produced here.
Okay, so Hillary, you do have your right of reply.
Yes, the empty space on the bottom right, I guess I didn't even notice it. It didn't bother me. I was looking more at the geometric skill of or strength of the image, and I thought it all came together very nicely. But yeah, so I'd still like it to come up a few points. Thank you.
Okay, so Hillary, you'll hold on 86. If the other judges could rescore, please. So we are in solid silver range on 83. So great conversation. And congratulations to the photographer for the silver award. And we will have the next print, please. Getting a great crowd in the room here this morning. Is it still morning? It is still morning. This print scores an 82 and is a silver award. Fantastic. Great for the photographer. Now, I would love to get a comment. Now, Tony, you're actually on a good score there for the photographer.
Yeah, so to help the photographer, if it was just a little less muddy and heavy, I probably would have gone high silver distinction. I went low silver distinction. But there's simple elements being put together in a very strong composition here, with the character on the right, on the left in red standing out, but that choice to use that flagpole or whatever it is in the right really is a great leading line. It's a key component of the composition. The yellow glow at the right gives us somewhere for that explorer to go. And we know he's an explorer. We get that sense because it's in the sign. So there's these really well put together subtle elements in a nice strong composition in terms of the building structure and the way it's been shaped.
Fantastic, great comment. Now, if I can get a quick judge change. So Hillary, if I can get you to hop out. Sam, if I can get you to come back in, please. And we will have next print, please. Okay, so we've just had a question for confirmation of post-production. So post-production is limited to minor adjustments such as spotting, dust and scratches, dodging and burning. and adjusting tonal and colour values. Elements or areas within the image cannot be removed or covered. You can do HDR, yes.
And we have to assume it's validated.
Cropping the image and perspective correction are permitted. HDR, stitch panoramas and focus stacking using multiple exposures taken at the same time are permitted, provided the techniques comply with the category principles for authenticity. So this print scores a 78, and I would love to get a comment. Paul, your hand was up pretty quick there. Go for it.
Two of us here. Very enjoyable use of composition and the colour tonality. The sharpness is handled well. What I feel like for a travel image is it's kind of halfway in between. If it was just empty and just about the structure and the building and the solace, it would be one thing. And if it had the interactivity of a lot of people and a bustle, it would add another element of flavour and culture to it. But there's kind of a few characters in there that the chairs are up, it's not quite happening, it's not quite there. They're not really adding anything particular interesting to the image, just looking at the phone or just sitting there. So I felt like just revisiting this place at a different time or moment might have added more energy and story to it. It's a bit subjective opinion, but
Peter, did you want to add to it?
That's lovely image. I echo Paul's comments about the people in there. They look like tourists rather than people using the space for the purpose it was built for. And that's, for something like that, obviously it's hard to get there when there's no one else there but you. Really hard. The point I'd really like to make, though, is the burnt out highlights on the either side of that arch there. If you took another darker frame and blended that in with what the other exposure, you could get rid of those burnt out bits and improve the image significantly.
Great comment. Thank you very much. And we will have the next print, please. And this print scores a 78. Could I get a comment from Tony, please? Thank you.
Composition is strong and it takes us directly to the figure, but I find the figure looks slightly unreal because of the gesture. The weight is, for me, slightly forward and it makes it look like it's set up. Now, it might not be. That's just one thing that disturbed me, but the rest of it is it's a good, solid practice. It's good, solid professional practice, good use of the building, but it doesn't actually bring us to another level.
Great comment. Thank you. And could we have the next print, please? And we are here judging the travel category in the 2018 Santas. I love that. Hashtag Santas. Yay. SA-NT-TAS Awards. Santas. Hey? Of course, Karen loves Christmas. So the Santas. So guys, this is a thing now, right? So we're going to have to do this again. It's a thing. Santas. It's a thing. It's Christmas in June. The Santas. Oh my gosh, that's it. Tradition. Totally. This print scores a 76. Can I get a comment from Peter, please?
Oh, this is a beautifully made photograph of, I assume it looks like Iceland to me. It could well be somewhere else. And I love where the figures are positioned. I love the humour in the colours that's been portrayed there. But given all that, there's nothing else that lifts it out of very strong professional practice into a silver award for me.
Fantastic, great comment. Thank you for that. And we will have the next print, please. So if we're judging the Santas, maybe we should have a Christmas tree at our awards dinner. Shh. Sorry, shh. Concentration. My bad, my bad. This print scores an 84 as a silver award. And we have a challenge from Mr. Tony Hewitt. Go right ahead.
I'll address the reasons I didn't go to gold, because I don't normally go one below, and that is purely a technical thing. It could have just been printed slightly better. That out of the way, what a cracking photo. Seriously, to see that and to get it in that moment, and it really required that moment, because this goes so much further than just two penguins on a lump of ice. The gesture is immaculate. I can see a couple, an old retired couple going on their trip to Antarctica, and one's never shut up and the other one just sits there and listens. And I didn't say which was which, because my wife could be listening. But, the way that the what do they call them? Fin flippers, whatever. They look like arms, don't they? They're holding each other. But at the end of the day, we're talking about a visual communication medium, and that is so strong. That is so strong as a piece of visual communication. Composition it's not complicated. It's pretty simple. We can see what they're doing. Far out. There's a comic to this. There's a serious side to it. There's a documentary side, a travel side, an editorial side, a portrait side, a wildlife side. This image could have been entered in about 7 different genres and would have been strong in every single category. It is a simple piece of communication which highlights one of the magic about photography, and that is the precise moment. And it's done with a couple of penguins on a rock. And it's done really bloody well. And for that reason, I've given it as high as I can go before I went into gold.
Sam, go ahead.
I totally agree with Tony. I had a smile and almost a tear coming out of my eye. The relationship between penguins and penguins apparently mate for life, unlike a lot of humans. One suggestion to the photographer, if the photographer came up just a smidge higher, just to give a little bit more breathing room between the horizon line and the head, but small thing, I think the emotion overrides that immensely. But if it was just come up a little bit higher, I would have come up higher.
Paul, go ahead.
I'm with Tony, and that the caricature of these penguins is phenomenal. Like if you can't see closer, it looks like they're perfectly touching and holding hands. And the humanisation of them that you can read into is quite exceptional. I do feel like they're a little bit lost in the frame, and that moment being the strength, if it was tighter and closer, would have been bolder and stronger. There is a context which I'm enjoying, but I'm pulled out of the frame in the top left a little bit. I am sort of danced back in by the sort of repetition of curves, perhaps, but I'm on the silver, and I'm listening to come higher.
Matt wants to offer a comment. Go ahead.
I had the lowest score, sorry guys, but I guess I noticed all the technical problems that you had also noticed, but the coastline was a little bit troubling for me, but you putting it in the context of them visiting Antarctica and having a discussion about the coastline helped me resolve that. Helped me resolve that in my own head, so thank you for doing that, and my score will come up.
Tony, you have your right of reply.
Yeah, let's talk composition. If you go too tight, Paul, and you lose the edges of the iceberg, they're no longer travelling on water on a boat. I see all these symbolisms. A couple on a boat, and he could be telling her, "This is where we're going. This is where we're visiting." You could get more esoteric, because I know you like that. We can talk about our infinite future. I promise you the world. I'll take you places. You can write whatever you want to this story, and at the end of the day, you can still come back to the simple humour that's contained within the way they're looking at each other. in answer to can they get, getting higher, I take that on board, but I also remind myself they're probably in a zodiac. I mean, you don't jump up and down in a zodiac in the Antarctic, trust me. So, this is brilliant. It's brilliant, and I hope the photographer has the opportunity to rethink it a little bit in terms of the paper choices and things like that, because I think this deserves a gold. But I don't give this a gold for the reasons I gave. But I certainly think it deserves as bloody high as we can get without going there, maybe. That would be my opinion. So I think we've all said it. And I'd encourage everybody, if you get a chance to see the print, do they hang these prints?
Yes, we do.
Please go and have a look, because it's just a great example of good, simple photography where you have the patience to observe and wait for that right moment. And then when it's right, you get it. And that's what they've done.
Fantastic. Well, Tony, you will hold your score on 89 if the other judges can rescore, please. And you've got to love a good day. 88, silver with distinction. Good job, judges. Well done. Fantastic conversation, and no doubt there's a happy photographer watching, or maybe here. We never know. And we will have the next print, please. So for those who are here, you can see these prints as they are awarded. So all awarded prints are put up in our community room across the other side of the car park. So please do pop over and have a look. They do get swapped over as the categories change, so they are up for a little while. So always worthwhile to go up and have an up close and personal look as soon as you can. These are, of course, our print awards. These are our state awards, which lead into our national awards, which is our APPAs, Australian Professional Photography Awards, which are held in August in Melbourne. And it's a weekend we all look forward to. Well, I do. Thank you. This print scores a 78. Are we all happy? And we have a challenge from Sam. Yes, you can challenge, Sam. Go right ahead.
I'm really enjoying the contrast of the blue and the orange from the volcano. We see the galaxy in the background. This is how planets form. We're on a planet looking within the galaxy. I think it's telling a lot. I'm really enjoying just that subtle detail in the foreground as well, just having that plant life as well. For me, this is how universes are made. This is part of how, stardust comes together. And good technique.
So, Matt, you're just under award range then?
Yeah, I really wanted to reward it when I saw it come around, but the foreground is just so muddy in the print, and if there's any more detail in there, then I'll definitely be tempted to go higher, just because that's the area that's kind of leading you towards the volcano. But if the detail isn't there, you could consider a crop that takes off a lot of that muddy area as well, and just highlights the volcano and the galaxy.
Paul, did you want to offer some input? You're mirroring that? Yeah, Tony, go ahead.
I'm actually wavering because I agree with you, Matt. That's the reason I stayed at 78. But there's such a vibrancy and such a strong sense of place and sense of moment. And in some ways, I wonder if too much detail in the foreground could actually start to compete with what is about a monumental event. I'm guessing it's the one in Hawaii at the moment because of the palm trees. So I get a sense of the fact that the palm tree is being kept in as a silhouette, and we don't have a complete silhouette. There is subtle detail. So, Sam, I'm kind of sitting in the fence a little bit here. So let's hear what you've got to say.
Oh, Sam, will you have your right of reply?
Yeah, I think that just as Tony's alluded to, too much information in the foreground could be distracting, but I think there's enough there for us to know, give us a sense of place. But for me, it's about the volcano on the galaxy above, and just that palm tree on the left just brings home the fact of the life. There's the geology, but then there's also the life that geology creates, and I think it's a really good camera technique. Shutter speed, the photographer was lucky not to have a windy night. There's not too much movement in the palm tree there, so I think you get that delicate nature of that palm tree in the left of the frame.
Okay, so Sam, you will hold your score on 83, and if the other judges can rescore, please. And congratulations. 81 Silver Award, well done. Congratulations to the photographer and well done, Sam. I'm sure someone's very appreciative there. So now we're going to have a quick judge change. So Peter, if I can get you to hop out. Hillary, can I get you to come in, please? And we will have the next print, please. So don't forget to catch up with Bruce from Epson if you're wanting to figure out how you can print your own award prints. How exciting is that? Print your own. Huh?
Bring lollies and
But we do appreciate you, Paul.
I do use Epson.
And he uses Epson, so there you go. Winner, winner. Chicken dinner. We are judging the travel category, not the food category, just to get back on track. Sponsored by Camera Electronic over in Perth. And this print scores a 77. Sam, I would love a comment, thank you.
I love the exhausted expression in the face, and I think if the photographer was to come down a little bit just to empower that person a little bit more, it may also give us a greater sense of space. Yes, it will bring that skidoo down a little bit, but I think by coming down a little bit, you'll help to really drive home the exhausted emotion within that figure.
Fantastic, great feedback. And can we have the next print, please? So don't forget to head over to our community room to see all these awarded prints. Get up close and personal with the prints. And those prints are carried over there by our print handlers, who are volunteers. We thank all our volunteers. And we thank our judges too. Very consistent scoring. So this print does score a 78. And I would love to get a comment from Matt, if you could, please.
Yeah, it's a very professional photograph of the building and surrounds, and the photographer's done a good job making sure all the elements are lined up and that kind of stuff. But I feel like the characters in the photograph aren't really lifting it to that next level. It just needs that a moment of some kind, something that plays off the building perhaps.
That's great. Good to see consistent scoring for the judges as well. Fantastic. And can we have the next print, please? This print scores an average of 80, but is a majority 79. And yes, Sam, you absolutely can challenge. Go right ahead.
when the image came around, I first of all really was blown away by the geometry. You've got that diagonal line from shadow into highlight. I'm assuming there's a bridge or something underneath. And then you've got the triangular wake, so we've got the leading lines taking us to the boat. The boat's going somewhere. It's almost as if the boat has come out of troubled waters, out of the darkness into the light. There's hope. And you know, the boat's a bit of a rustic boat, a solitary figure there. So it's it's telling a story of just getting on, getting out of the trouble, getting into the light. And I think that those two strong graphic elements, the diagonal line and the triangular shape of the wake, really help to give the strength, as well as to add to the story that's being told of the boat getting out of the trouble. It's justified more to the right, so there is hope, but there's been a lot of sort of darkness simply from the shadow. Now the water's quite calm, but for me I think it does tell a story, and I love the graphic nature of it.
Tony, you're on the other end of the scale on a 76.
Yeah, not for long. That's fine. I see that. I felt that the figure was a little static, but I kind of concede that there's a serenity that the figure in the boat's reflecting and complementary to, and I like the graphics as well. So at 76, I've definitely underscored it, and I'll be going into a low silver. Okay,
Hilary, you actually are in the silver range.
Yeah, good for me, eh? Yes, it was very striking, that first look at the image, and it's quite a simple construction, so I was looking for more in it, and I totally get the dark to light, but the figure, the sort of the static type of nature of the figure in the boat, it seemed to reflect a calming of perhaps of life. We read into these things what we experience in our own lives, I think, perhaps. And for me, it was the wake of the boat coming out of the dark into just a little bit more stillness. And I definitely think it's worth a good solid silver.
Sam, you have your right of reply.
I think I've covered everything off, but enough said.
Okay, so Sam, you will hold on 84. The other judges, please rescore. Oh, we've got to love a good challenge. 83 silver award. Well done. Great result. We love to see that. And so I'm going to have a quick judge change. So Matt, I'm going to give you a break. And Luke, if I can get you to pop back in. Thank you. And we will have the next print, please. And we are judging the travel category, sponsored by Camera Electronic. And of course, our overall sponsors of the awards, Epson. And also our supporters here at Marden Senior College, who been hosting us for 4 years now. Something like that. So Malcolm and his team, very much appreciate the logistics that you help us with. And this print scores a 78. Could I get a comment from Tony, please?
We see in travel particularly, there seems to be a lot of images where there's people on the street doing things, and I think the point is to make them award worthy. We need to see that it's a specific moment or perspective where everything's lined up, and that's the skill set of the travel photographer. And for me, there's just too many things that are conflicting and complicating each other. The guy walking from right to left under the A with his phone, there's 2 feet coming out the side, there's somebody half behind the lamppost. So we're getting all these things that another moment, patience, that's what's going to make it an award. Not just because the opportunity was seen, but it's the opportunity that's waiting. We just haven't got it here. I don't think it's the right shot.
Okay, thank you for that great comment. And I will have the next print, please. And this print has scored a 75. Paul, can I get some feedback for the photographer?
Purely from a print point of view, it's quite heavily handled in terms of the tonality. I'd probably enjoy a bit more subtlety of not poking your eye out with those white highlights and allowing you a little bit more breathing room in terms of the darker elements of the image. I feel like compositionally and with the choice of bokeh, there's some features in the background that could potentially add context to the story, but they're not resolved enough in order to do so. And I just sort of want to see what's going on, or is this a cultural event going on, and I can't quite see that. And the interactivity with the mother, she's included in a big part of the image, but she's not particularly involved with the clear subject of the young child. She's sort of almost there peripherally, so that might be another frame to look at. I'm interested to hear anyone else's thoughts.
Fantastic, thank you for that. I'm just going to do a quick swap over. Hillary, if I can get you to hop off, and Matt's busy with his phone over there. Can I get you in for a quick one there, Matt? Awesome, thank you. And we will have the next print, please. And of course, hello to everyone in live stream land. I don't think I've said hello to anyone out there today. I don't know who's out there. We actually can't even see who's out there, but hello to all of you. Do we know how many we've got watching? We don't know. Here's a virtual wave for you all. We're all waving. Yay. And we hope you're enjoying the telecast. Is that what it's called? Is it called a telecast? Live stream? Ucast? Simulcast.
Yeah, right.
Without the music.
Oh, here we go. 61.
61. Awesome. We have an 82 and a silver award. Congratulations. Great to see. Tony, yes, get a comment. That'd be great.
I'm really happy with that. I gave it 84. I think it deserves it. But if you're going to enter it in AIPP, I noticed a little bit later that there are some fine print lines on this image, vertical. So please check that, because it's still deserving of a silver in my opinion, even if I'd seen that before. But it is something that might just hold you back, because the rest of the technique in the editing is beautifully done, very simple.
Fantastic. That's great. Thank you for that. And can we have the next print, please? So for those who may not have been able to attend a print judging, the judges actually get an opportunity to go right up close to the prints to see the close detail. And Tony is just sitting on it. Pixel peeking. Gives them a good idea of what they're looking at. And that's when the detail is made clear and obvious. This print scores an 82 and is a silver award, and Tony's hand is up for a challenge. Go ahead, Tony.
I love this. I shouldn't say that. I try to teach everyone else not to. But I do. Look, this is a great perspective from the view of somebody in the water comes up. I'm a beach person. I go to the beach 5 times a week whenever I'm home. And you get, do a lot of body surfing. You come up and water in your eyes. That's the perspective you get. It's not from underwater necessarily, but it's it's a real picture. I feel like I'm there in the water with this person. The distortion of that person is brilliant because it just makes it so more visceral, that it's so real. It's like you're there, takes you to this place. The colour palette really gives me a sense of summer and fun and clear water. It makes me want to be there. It's not brown water. It's not dark. I love the bubbles. I love the irreverence of those bubbles not being, some of them are almost in the way, causing distortion, but those bubbles, again, make it real. I see subtle dynamics that hold this construction together. From the top left to the bottom right, there's a chunk of green turquoise water there, and another one down the bottom, and that draws me a line through there. And I think, oh, what about the bottom left? But just even from the bottom left, there's a subtle greyness coming forward, 45 to the top, and that leads up into that little bit of green in that wave off to the right-hand side of the surfer. And then the surfer, the distorted arms, the exaggeration leaning into the wave, and all of this is taken from the perspective of somebody who's just got a face full of water, the water's dripping down their face. It really puts me there. And that exceeds good standard professional work, and that exceeds, just above that. It's just imagination and creativity and balls.
Wonderful. Luke, you are sitting in silver.
Yeah, and Tony, I think that's what I lacked a little bit when I scored this was bowls, because I did feel a lot of what you described there. Having attempted to shoot from the water before, and the sand in the eyes, and I think it really does just give such a wonderful sense of place and movement, and it'd make a beautiful fine art piece up on a wall as well. So yeah, I'm definitely heading up into that silver distinction range. Thanks for scoring it as you did, Tony.
Matt, you're actually just under award range.
Yeah, when I first saw it, I loved the idea and I loved the concept of it, but I felt like this wasn't the frame that resolved that idea in the best way, and that's kind of what held me back originally. I also felt like the composition could have been slightly improved, just coming in a little bit from the right-hand side perhaps and from the bottom. However, I'm benefiting from the experience of the surfies on the panel, so I'm happy to come up.
Tony, your right of reply.
Yeah, I was just thinking, why did it resonate so strongly? And I have a scar across my nose because I was surfing and taking photos of somebody like that, and a board came out of a wave and smacked me in the face from somebody else. And that is the view that you get when you surf and you come up. It really is. And one of the aims or goals of travel photography is that we are the eyes for somebody else who can't go there. They can't visit these places. So we try to take them there through our vision and help them see through our eyes. And I can tell you, this is what you see through your eyes standing in the water watching somebody surf towards you.
Fantastic. Well, Tony, you will hold your score on 88 if the other judges can please rescore. And great work, 87, silver with distinction. Great result, fantastic conversation. I love to hear it, love the passion. That's just awesome. Now, can I get a quick judge change? Matt, if I can get you to hold off. Peter Barnes, if I can get you in, please. And if I could have the next print, please. Always great to hear the passion of the judges speaking for a print. And of course, talking about water, Tony, Girt by Sea. It's a thing. Tony has just opened an exhibition in Sydney. Massive project called Girt by Sea. And we are girted in this country. I don't know if there's anyone in another country who actually knows the meaning of the word girt. And this print scores a 78. I would love to get a comment. Sam, please.
I think with a lot of this style of photography that we've seen today, I think we just need to wait until there's something a little bit more a little bit more of a stronger story. I find the figure walking in the arch a little bit awkward. Just their posing, so you know it's well framed. Just need to wait for something a little bit more powerful. Thank you.
Fantastic, thank you. And we will have the next print, please. So here we are at the Santas, and we are girt by photographers. Don't like Santas. Paul doesn't like Santas. I like Santa. Oh, do you? And this print scores a 78. Could I get a comment, please, from... let's see, we've got a 78 there. Yeah, Paul. Oh, you're on 81, actually. So, yeah, go ahead.
Well, I just thought, to me, what this spoke of is the way that man has the audacity and capability of placing itself in such extreme environments. Not only is it extreme from the cold, it's geographically an intense position to be in, because moving around in that landscape would be so difficult. Really enjoyable colour. The time of day works for it. It's potentially maybe a little bit tight compositionally. I wouldn't mind some breathing room, but it just spoke to me of what we're capable of, and the boldness of how we place ourselves, and there's a gentle sort of reflection in the bottom to almost let you reflect on that thought.
Fantastic. Thank you for that comment. And we will have the next print, please. So we endeavour to get a comment on each print, which can hopefully help the photographer if it needs help. Sometimes it might not need help. Great scoring, judges. 81 silver award. Congratulations to the photographer. I would love to get a comment now. Peter Barnes, would you like to offer? You are just in silver there.
I like this photograph. I can't think of a constructive way to improve it. Perhaps someone else could, but it is just a really well-made, well-seen, well-composed photograph of a couple enjoying themselves in a culture that's different from ours.
Go ahead, Sam.
I commend, travel photography about people and place. We're looking at two locals living in Holland. Bicycles are an intrinsic part of that culture. We can see a young couple and the relationship with them. Improvement for the photography. I would love to see the figures across that window a little bit more. So her white jacket is across the darkness of that window, and maybe step to the left or crank the camera to the left. But I think, it takes me to a place, and it gives me a fly on the wall insight into the relationship of some locals there going about a very stereotypical day in the life thereof.
Wonderful. Thank you for that, and very helpful. And we will have the next print, please. So, South Australian members, get on and vote for your new state council. Voting is open until Friday. check your inbox, check your email, and vote. And this print has scored a 77. And could I get a comment? So where are we? I would love to get a comment from Paul. Oh, no, Tony? Tony, Paul. Tony, go ahead.
I was just going to say, I think compositionally it's probably a little out, because I think the right and left is too much of that dark area taking away. And then the transition from dark to light is just a little bit, to me, a little bit bright. And I'm not sure about the placement of the character. It's just starting to blend in with that background.
Fantastic. Thank you for that. And can I have the next print, please? And that brings us to the end of the travel category. Thank you very much to our judges, and also thank you to our print handlers out the back, Daniel, Diane, Kane, Jordan, Ethan and Cameron. Great work from all of you. Just come and stick your heads around the corner and say hi to everyone. Give us a wave. Come and say hi. Show us your faces. Yay. Doing a great job. Thank you. These people, yes, they do have faces. So thank you all. And that brings us to the end. So we'll have a short break now. And we are next going into another category. Newborn. Newborn is next. So thank you.